from all the talk and talk, I thought I'll interview you. I didn't write anything down, you know why? I think what I want to ask you is just literally straightforward.
Cool. Whatever you want to do it, man.
So, how would you introduce yourself?
I'd introduce myself as Colin Two-Way Tuscany McDonald.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go straight in, Colin. Yeah. The reason you're here, the reason I met you, yeah, and I thought, wow, the reason you blew me away was at Hip Hop is 50 with DJ 279.
Yes.
I was sitting there, I was in the crowd, everyone was talking and they're all having their chat, and you said something, and I went, whoa, that got my attention. Do you remember what it was?
I say it a lot of times. So what I speak about is because I come from a trauma-informed background. I said that in a nutshell that everybody needs a form of therapy. Everyone needs some kind of counselling or therapy. Everyone. The PTSD, or some people call it post-traumatic slave syndrome, that people suffer from, we all need it. And I've been saying it for years, we just met each other, but loads of times when we're in rooms, I say that all the time.
Okay, so what I thought was strange is in that room, everyone was probably over 50. And you still felt the need to say it, because you would think at the age of 50 and above, we would have ourselves together. So what is going on? Because I ain't gonna lie, I was shocked on that day with just the information that was going out, and I'm thinking, for people of a certain age, I thought we would have grown past certain behaviors. So what do you have to say? Educate me. What are we doing wrong?
You see, it's not what we're doing wrong, it's what we're not learning from our mistakes. See? So what's happening, especially with my age group, right? Over 50s, between 50 and 60, right? What's happening is that, you know, with every genre that I've been into, I can see the same thing happening, whether I talk about reggae, soul, hip hop, jazz, drum and bass, UK wise, it happens with every genre. Because my main one is hip hop, I can talk about that. So what you get is you get pioneers that pioneer something, whatever it is. And in hip hop, you've got the breakdancing, you've got the b-boying, you've got the rap, you've got the DJing, you've got the graffiti, and obviously you've got the beatbox, and then you've got the knowledge, right? So you've got all of these, and with each individual field, because I'm kind of an old school first generation b-boy that was around 1983, 1982, you've got certain people that champion that. Now these champions anybody that is first in anything will never get what they're supposed to, right? They will never get the accolades that they're supposed to. And depending on the type of person you are, will depend on how you receive that. But it just doesn't only affect you, it affects everyone around you that thinks that you should be getting those accolades as well. So what I've noticed is that you've got certain people saying, for instance, I'll give you a classic example. I spoke to someone yesterday and I said to them, have you seen that rap thing going around that they're saying who's the greatest rapper of all time? And it was a worldwide thing, and they said, but it needs context. I said, not really. I said, because if you just put who's the best rapper in the world, people will either say Biggie, Tupac, or people will actually say names. But when it comes to UK, people want specifics. So the person said, are you talking about more money, more albums, most nurture? I just said, no, just the greatest. I said, just greatest rapper, UK rapper of all time. And they started saying some names. And then I said, I've been to 4 sites, and each one of the sites worldwide say Central C. Right. Now, the person I was talking to hadn't even heard of Central C. So I had to say to them, and now this is what I'm going to say, this is where the problem is, right? So the person said, who's Central C? I said, he's recognized by some as one of the greatest rappers, UK rappers of all time. Whether you agree with it or not, you've got to find out who he is, listen to some of his stuff and all that to see if it quantifies. What I find with a lot of my peer group is that they're not willing to do a bit more digging. So when I speak to some of them about, I remember one day I spoke to, it was in a room and I spoke about Swiss, who I think he's one of the greatest UK rappers of all time. Creeping, saying I would put that figure about 30, not 2 or 3, and I'd say he's in there. And the people, do you reckon he's better than? And I said, no, we said greatest. Great. If you think about Ali, he wasn't great just because of his amount of fights he's had. He was great for what he did, what he accomplished, what he means to the people. He got the people's hearts, which is what Swiss has done. A lot of the rappers from our peer group, from my peer group, that want to be known as great have not done enough great things. They've not done enough albums, they've not reached enough people, they've not taught enough people, or even now they're not teaching enough people. When you're great, you must see by your lineage and your legacy what you leave behind. That to me is greatness, not just being a good rapper. So I think with my generation, a lot of them do not know that, and if they did know that, instead of saying I did this, I did that, they were able to say, these are my pupils, this is my building, this is my funding opportunity, I've got this, plus this is what I did. So,
you know, another question I've had, I don't know if you can help me out, is how the scene, because we're talking about hip hop now, how the scene turned into literally like, it feels like a desert. It feels like at the event Hip Hop is 50, I didn't see many young people. I didn't see any young people. So it's almost like your generation did a birth, the new generation coming up, there was no support. There seems to be a big disconnect. So what is going on there from what you remember? Why is there a big disconnect between your generation and probably, the generation below?
Okay. So for me, that's quite, see, I've done youth work for 40 years of my life. So even when I was 16, 17, I've always done youth work, worked in youth clubs. So I've worked in youth clubs in the 90s, the 2000s, 2010s, 2020s, up to now. So even up to now, I'm still working with people that work in youth clubs. So the disconnect goes like this, right? You get people like, a classic example, you get someone like Mega, right? I was talking to someone about this.
Yeah.
When is the stage where the youngers that you bring in take over you and you start listening to them? There is I still haven't put my finger on where that happens, but there's a stage where you have to be able to listen to younger people coming in. So it's not all, it doesn't, I think a lot of my generation, and I would challenge anybody, think it goes like this. So as we bring in someone, it goes like that. But I don't think it goes like that. I think it goes like this. And eventually it goes like, now when someone's above you, they have to bring you up. If you cannot see that they're above you, you're going to resist that because you're always going to think they're below you. That's what I think's happened to my generation. People like Mega, I'm fortunate enough to know Mega when he was really young, maybe 13, 14, 15. He used to come round to my park, Fountain Road, shout out to Mega. And we was like doing a lot of rapping and DJing, and I've still got a video of when those guys are Soul Solid at my youth club in Tooting Hub did a performance. It was Keish, and I think Swiss, and a few of them. And they were singing some R&B stuff, right? And it was about 13, 14, right? Copying Boys to Mend. But I remember speaking to him when he's 13 and 14, and I remember his mindset and what he was doing, right? And then I didn't see him for years. Next thing I saw So Solid. When I had a sit down with him, he started talking to me about 360 deals, how he got So Solid to where they was, how he negotiated with Relentless, how he just basically managed the business. I sat there and actually realised that he actually knows more. And I've been into the music industry forever. But if you are not in there talking with the big labels and doing different type of maneuvers, you're going to have to listen to people that are younger than you. So this guy Central C, who's doing tunes with Buster, how did he, I mean, I don't know how he managed to do that, but I don't think it's right for people to just go, he's not all that, he's not all this, because they're just thinking about his rap. His business side must be on point, because he's working with a lot of those American guys, and a lot of the American people are saying that he's the best, the greatest UK rapper of all time. It's not good for our generation to sit back and go, no, he's not, no, he's not, no, he's not. So that's where the disconnect is, that we are not getting our youth and not just training them, letting them train us. That's what's got to happen. It's got to happen.
Okay. Going back to what you said, it's funny you brought up Mega's name, because when I felt like I was coming into the industry, I didn't have anyone I could talk to. And I remember contacting Mega.
Ooh. He helped you out?
He came to my house. He sat down and he helped me to navigate. He told me some words that I never forgot, and so did Swiss. And they gave me wisdom. They didn't know who I was. I was just this young mad kid saying, I'm the best, I'm the hardest worker, I'm gonna take over, it's me. And he helped me to navigate a lot of complex situations in terms of dealing with the corporate world, which I didn't know how to deal with at the time. I didn't know how much to charge. And Mega said to me, make it make sense for what you're trying to do, make it make sense for your future. And yeah, he helped me out from nowhere. He didn't even know who I was, but he helped me. He sat me down and he helped me out. But I find a lot of people are not lucky enough to have that experience with anyone.
I don't know, you know, what I would say to you is a lot of people do have people like that around, but they don't have the ego doesn't allow them, because there's plenty of people that are my generation that should be going to Mega, or someone like Mega. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. There's plenty of them that we can see, like the Chipmunks and the Central C's and the this and the that. And I mean, I was speaking to Breeze, shout out to Breeze, Numbers, and K9, and I speak, every time I get to speak to them, I say things like, how comes no one that's not done a tune, our generation done a tune with X or done a tune with Y? My last conversation, R.I.P. Ty, my last conversation with Ty, we had a phone conversation. This must have been about 3-4 months before he passed. We had a great conversation, and the one thing I said to him, I said, I think you've missed a trick. And he said, what's that? I said, you guys are supposed to, on their Kingdom tour, I said, you're supposed to be having a Stormzy, a Chipmunk, a this, a that. And we, you know, Ty, we R.I.P. Ty, but we had a little banter about it, but he didn't feel it was right. Fair enough, right? I'm not his manager, right? But at the end of the day, what I'm saying is, I need, I don't know about, I need.
Yeah, Mike said that. You're the future, you know, you need to push, you need to, you know, kind of like passing the torch on to the young people, or the young rappers that are coming up. I noticed there's a lot of young people who are not so much suffering from mental health, but hip hop is like an escape, and they're not being nurtured. And I feel like there's an effect that it has. I was telling 279 this, that he inspired a lot of people to keep going.
Absolutely.
And him being missing, whether he realizes it or not, it actually affected quite a lot of people.
Absolutely.
It affected a lot of people because now they didn't have a place to express themselves. Not everyone is lucky enough to have other skills to kind of express themselves. You know, the internet is a big place. So in terms of hip hop, mental health, you know, a lot of people are depressed because they're not able to express themselves the way they want to. They're not being seen, they're almost like they're invisible. What do you think about that?
Well,
you're the canceller. You're the
okay. So
what happens, like from a mental perspective, like?
Okay, so there's a theory that I work with when I manage children's homes, and it's called the therapeutic community. And what a therapeutic community sounds all great, but on a basic level, what it means is that people learn from people that are going through the same thing as them. So you think about AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, if anyone's ever been there, you go in a room, everyone sits in a room and they discuss what they've been through, why they're willing to alcohol, the rationale behind it, and what they're doing to get over it. And what the therapist, the psychotherapist, the psychologist are all there, people think these are the people that fix people, but they're not. The people that fix them are the people that are around in the room, the people that are going through it. That's what the therapeutic community ideology says. So when you're talking about someone like 279 who I don't want to say I actually cracked a joke with him one day and said that he abandoned us. The reason why I said that to him is because that is the way some people will see it. Yeah, that's the way we'll see it. But he didn't. Now he's come back. I think he's realised. I've spoken to him a lot about mental health and how the therapy comes from listening. So do you know that guy called MCD?
Yes.
Right? Now, Silent Eclipse. So when they came out, I never forget it, 1994 at Flavour of the Month, Borderline, and he had a big challenge against South London. Lots of people was there, and one of the greatest rappers I saw. But I believe, my understanding was he suffered from some mental health issues as well. Now, did he really suffer? Because this is the thing about when people say mental health, right? Sometimes people being rejected, people not being able to see their children, people going through divorce, people going through bereavement, all of these things will affect people's mental health. Any one of those things can affect people's health. So if you're around people and you can talk about it and create these therapeutic communities, which is what a lot of the hip hop scenes did. So 279's Flavour of the Month, he thought it was, I would challenge him, he thinks it was just about music, but it wasn't. It was very cathartic, because people would listen to his music and then people would come together, people would talk about it, people would reason, there would be arguments, there would be this, but it was a nurturing place. So when that stopped, there was nothing to take its place, because the people that were there were not like 279. 279 was extremely nurturing. A lot of time on the phone, counselling, doing therapy with people, unbeknown to him. Just because you're not a therapist, it doesn't mean you can't do therapy, right? So he was doing a lot of that. When he left the scene, there was a gap. There's always a gap for hip hop. So who took his place? There was other people that took his place, but the people that took his place were just about the music, which is supposed to be about, right? It's supposed to be about music. So I would say the reason why the gap happened, the reason why there's not enough therapy, is because a lot of people have got negative things to say about therapy. They think, oh no, I'm not mad, I'm not this, I'm not that. But I would try to explain to them, a therapeutic community is about learning from each other. So what you are in, your group, your gang, where you talk, where you open, it's confidential. This is what's needed, and it's good that he's back. But we need more 279s, and we need more places where people can talk, can be open.
Okay, so you said I didn't watch all the video. I need to. I saw you breaking, popping.
Oh,
you know. And I thought, wow. And before I even go past the popping part, you're an amazing father.
No, thank you.
So I had to, I don't know what question I want to ask, but what's the importance of being a father to you? And what you do? What's the importance of being a father?
Yeah. And
how do they see what you've done in terms of your talent, your breaking and your...
Okay, so with my dance, see, I got into dance very, very, very young. As the usual story, well, it's not a usual story, troubled young person. I used to get into a lot of trouble. This was at Ernest Bevin School, and I got suspended a couple of times, and then we did this TV program called Some Arts Festival. It was on ITV. So We ended up being on ITV and winning this competition. I was 13. And then afterwards we met the Rocksteady crew. From that, I actually, from about 13, 14, I always saw myself as a professional dancer. This is where I realised was different from me, from a lot of other dancers. So from then, I always seeked out to get a manager, to get an agent. So by the time I was 16, 17, we got Richie. Richie was one of the most, he was on Kiss FM. He managed us, got us lots of shows. And yeah, I went on to do lots of different things. And from that, you know, he was the person that introduced me. So when I got my George Michael and Beverly Knight and all these people, it was really because of the connections I got from Richie Rich. Now, by the time, and I just carried on doing that, and at the same time, doing my fathering. So the connection with my children is, I'll never forget this. It was the Breakdance Championships, Brixton Academy. Big up to Mr. Hooch, who had the competition ninth, and then my daughter was born 1997. When my daughter was born, I was supposed to be helping judging and organising that competition. I decided when my daughter was born that I was going to give that all up, and at that stage I'd been touring with Liverpool Theatre with John Z. D. I'd done the Beverly Knight, I'd done the George Michael tour, I was doing a lot of stuff. And looking at a lot of my friends who couldn't see their children, I just decided that I was going to cut that out, the DJing, dancing, all of that stuff, to just be a father. So I did that. Now my daughter's 19, she's at uni, which I'm so proud of. My other daughter, she's going to university in Alison Rutkins in Cambridge. That's in September. I feel like I've got another daughter, but I think I've got more time. So now, that's why I'm about to start doing my stuff again. So being a father, I gave up a lot of sacrifices, isn't it?
So would you say hip hop matured? And when I say that in terms of, you know, we're doing it, did it evolve and mature? Because obviously you've taken it, you became a good father, you still implemented some of you know, your talent, your skills into your children. Your children are well mannered and behaved, and they're doing great things. But did hip hop really mature?
Did hip hop mature?
UK hip hop, the whole, you know, like I'll give you an example. I started rapping, my kids started rapping, but they rap, but they use technology.
Right.
They use AI. So as far as I'm concerned, yeah, I was just a rapper. Then I started doing some bits, but I was able to pass it on to my children. They don't want to rap, but they have the ability, but they've taken all the other elements of it and created their own thing, computer games. That's what they evolved the hip hop to. But as hip hop and your generation, did they evolve?
Ooh, did they evolve?
Yes. Can we be proud of what we've created?
Yes. Can we be, okay, if you said, can we be proud? Yes, definitely be proud. Did we, because what I'm thinking about the mindsets.
Yes.
Has the mindsets evolved? I'm not sure. Some have, some haven't. Overall, I would say the people with the greatest mindsets sit back, and the people with the loudest voices are the one that ends up people listening to. So we need the people with the great minds for people to listen to them. That's the reason why I think my generation has not evolved as much as it could. With the younger generation, because of social media, everybody can hear their voices more. So the people that are just loud, they've got a place. What are they called? They're called influencers. These influencers, they've got a place. And the people that are intellectual, they have a place. Whereas I think when I was younger, and the people now, the intellectual ones that are my generation, don't have enough of a voice, because I know some of them and I don't hear them enough. And the people that are more louder, who are influencer type people, these are the people that people seeing as the intellectuals. Hence why the younger generation, a lot of the generation, they think that, I've seen a lot of people think that the oldest generation of hip hop finishes with Swiss and Stormzy or a little bit above. They don't even mention. The only people that mentions my generation, as far as I'm concerned, is my generation. And if they did, and if other people did mention them, they would be on stage with these younger guys doing stuff with them, because this doesn't work like that in America. In America, it's different because the younger guys coming out do stuff with them, but with here, there's a so we have matured and we can be proud, because I think, you know, sometimes I hear some people from our generation say, without us, there'd be no them. And I'm like, yeah, we paved the way for them, but now it's time for us to let them pave the way for us. And I think ego stops.
Okay.
Stops us from doing that. Got to go to a begging bowl to Kano.
Check this out though. If they haven't been helped and they've blown up by themselves,
Exactly.
why are they gonna look now and say, yo, you guys gonna help us? It's like, we did it on our own. You guys didn't build nothing for us. We sold Choice FM. We sold everything. We don't own mobiles. We own nothing.
Absolutely.
So what are we giving them?
So this is my point. We can't go to them like that. We have to go. That's why my last thing was, got to go to them with begging bowl. Not begging bowl, but that means lacking ego. Lose the ego and let's go to them and say, this is what I, because they'd recognize that. But I think the ego, because you go to them and go, yeah, do you know what I've done? Listen,
Someone's already done that to me. I've done this. I did that. I did this.
Let me tell you something, right? My classic story to this is one of my, it's only a little bit younger than me, but it's Master, the one and only Mr. John Z.D., right? Now, when I first met John Z.D., I could have went to him, he might even remember, I could have went to him and said, I did this and I did that and I did this and I didn't. I went there humble. I knew who he was as well, so I didn't even tell him that I had been involved in this thing called Rap's New Generation with WBI, Red Ninja, and he was a rapper in it. So I could have said to him, I remember when you was just a little rapper in mine and 70s comedy, but I didn't. I went there, danced, he was like, and I just humbled myself, right? So it's the humble, and it's quite difficult. It was difficult for me because at that stage, when I went to him, I was like 28, 29.
28, 29.
Yeah, I was 28, 29. I had, I'd been on.
We're good.
Yeah, I had been on TV. I had toured. I had done shows. I had done this, and I went there and auditioned humbly. So what I'm saying is that people have to. You can't go to them because they've already blown up, and they didn't pave, and we paved the way is something that we really need to talk about, because paving the way for them is not giving them their opportunity. Because I think a lot of people say we've paved, without us there'd be no them. Not you got to be very. You've got to think about how you word that and how you, because a lot of them guys, the younger generation, they're prepared to do the pop. They're prepared to do the rock. They're prepared. They're just about the money. And then I know me personally. I'll never forget when I got the George Michael show, and there was some of my 1999, and there was some guys. I was supposed to get 60 dancers, and about 10, 15 of them pulled out and said, "I ain't dancing for anybody that's gay. No way, I'm not dancing for that." And I was thinking, but this is how we. So this is how I then went on to work with other artists like that. I was supposed to work with Sting, and what I realised was I can't really go to some of my. So this is where it gets fragmented. Instead of us all coming together, infiltrating the industry, and then creating something of our own, we're so busy saying we're not doing that. We're not doing. The younger generation's not doing that. They doing their thing. So I think, yeah.
So my last question for you is, so how do we unite? Because my thing is, I think that we have to come together We have to own our own thing, and we have to unite. And you already said we need counselling, which I believe. So how do we unite everyone? How do we come together?
Okay.
How do we fix a situation that people don't even know exists?
Okay. So I have a way. Now, what you do, okay, so let me give examples first of all and then say what we should do. Here's an example, right? I'm going to use Mega again, right? Mega created So Solid. So Solid wasn't just a group. So Solid meant we are so solid together. They all agreed on it, they created an ethos, and even through the bad times they stuck together. So, also, we know now that Mega became a Freemason. Okay. When I heard that years ago, I studied what that was. I was like, okay, what is this? When I heard about it, when I heard about that organization, all I heard was negativity about it. I won't even say the negative, but it was really negative. But when he came out and said it, and that's only recently, because if you type it in on Google now, it just says Mega is. But forget what the organization's about. Let's talk about the mindset. The mindset is together, unity, working together, cohesiveness, one mindset. Now, when I looked on FEROtv the other day, I saw this video. The video was Acres of Diamonds. Right? Yeah. Now, what I'm saying is, you get people together, you might get people to all watch Acres of Diamonds, right? And the Acres of Diamonds story is a story of perspective. And the Acres of Diamonds talks about a man that is happy, but then he goes off and is in search of diamonds and this and to become everything. And when you listen to the story, at the end of it, you have 20 people in the room and you get them to talk about the story. And what you will find is that everyone still has a different perspective of that. But the main perspective that I would say from the Acres of Diamonds is, number one thing is that the diamonds that you seek are within yourself, which means that you need to work on self first. That's the first thing. The second thing that you need to do is, once you've worked on self, you have to work on self and then come together and have a collective self to deal with. So whether you're all, whatever it is, whether you're all religious, whether you all study the book of Acres of Diamonds, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Richest Man in Babylon, whichever, you come together and it has to be under that ethos, whatever ethos you decide. That's what I know that is, it doesn't matter which one, because, well, it doesn't matter which one actually, but most of them, Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, all of these philosophies are really great, and I've read all of them and none of them have got any negativity. So if you come together and say, right guys, we're going to follow the philosophy of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it doesn't mean that you can't be Christian, you can't be Jehovah's Witness, you can't be Freemason, you can't be this, but we're going to study that. That's what needs to happen.
There's nothing else that needs to be said. So that's education, wisdom, self-development for us to really unite and grow.
Absolutely.
Gee!
Absolutely.
It's a wrap.
Absolutely.
And that's going out to the hip-hop world. We need to do the work.
Absolutely.
Which most people are not willing to do.
And the other bit is the economics, but that's
No.
I think that you see, one of the other bits with the because all those things you said, the wisdom, but the economics is really important, and that is people investing in each other. That's really, 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 especially for my age group, right? My age group, we're supposed to be having money that we can. When I was younger, I remember always wanting freeness because I didn't have a job and I didn't. But now, at my age and we're not supposed to be doing things, or people are not supposed to be doing things, and people are asking for freeness. I don't ask for freeness for anything. I will just pay my way if I can.
So now you're saying, let me get what you're saying. It's time for your generation to start investing in the people coming up.
Absolutely.
That's something that we've lacked. We didn't
Big
do
time.
that.
Big time. Can get some young people that are doing the show, and if you know them, people are going to be like, yeah, let me get him free. You must not do that. That's why as I gave an example, when my daughter came to your launch of your film, that's why she paid. She paid from her money. It's important, really, 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 really important that she paid from her pocket, because then what will happen is then when you actually look, or when she looks at her launch and she can see, look, actually my people are paying, and when people are trying to get in free and don't want to pay, what they realize is they're robbing their self of a chance to invest in their self. So,
bro,
yeah, man,
that's deep. They're either gonna get the gem or they're not gonna get the gem.
Exactly.
But I think you've said it.
exactly.
Wow. Deep. That's it.
Yeah, man.
Anyway, hope you enjoyed that.
Yeah.